there's a big storm possibly on the way, but at the same time, it could be nothing. It's a big thing we need to track, as either way, whether it brings snow, which is seeming less and less likelier, or more rain, which is seeming more and more likelier, if this storm were to occur for the eastern two-thirds of the U.S. In terms of snow, it looks little, and there's multiple reasons why with that. But first, there's a couple of disturbances we need to get through, so we'll take a look at that. And then a pattern flip after all of that, which the west gets a little more cooler and the east gets a little more warmer, while the central U.S. is very warm compared to average. So let's get right into it. So we'll start out with satellite imagery, satellite loop. I hope you guys are all doing good on this Tuesday. Some interesting features to look at. Here is an upper level low off of Baja California. This one is more notable because it is actually about to come on shore and is very close proximity to California, bringing some clouds and precipitation over here. Snow in the higher elevations, rain in the lower. You know the deal. Further south, a little bit of a disturbance right here coming through Texas. Some cloud cover. This is a warm system, so any precipitation falling with this is likely mostly rain, because you do have some moderation going on through this area right here. It should cool back down for a bit, but not nearly as cold as we have been in the past. It's gonna get warmer, is basically what I'm saying, especially for these areas. Same thing in the east. Okay, you've had a little bit of a return flow as that big time Arctic air masses heading out that brought those colder temperatures frigid over the weekend. So you're getting this moderation period, but not for long, as you get another little clipper storm that's going to dive down south. And this should paint snow and ice for a portion of the northeast. And this will also bring a not backdoor, but a little cold front. Won't be anything as Arctic or as big as the blast of cold air we had this past weekend, but it'll still bring cooler temperatures. And we watch that as it does entrench pretty far south. It won't be super cold air, saying like some of the cities, they will get above freezing per day, most likely starting today. So we'll watch that, but it'll still be cold at night. But eventually it will start to back off, and then you get a system that trails it. So it's a backing off high pressure that's fleeing. So it depends how much colder is entrenched as the storm comes. Is the storm strong enough to gain latitude? If not, it's just zonal out to sea, whether it's rain, snow, whatever. So we're going to watch that. Those are the main features we're looking at through the rest of this weekend and the weekend. So we can see most of these surface features currently right now. There's your low right there, occluded front, warm roads right off the coast, and there's your cold front. Not the strongest low, but it's around 1,000 millibars, so it's impactful, to say the least. There's your high pressure right there in the central U.S., bringing some mild temperatures. I mean, if we were going to zoom in right now, look at these temperatures. This is honestly really interesting. St. Louis is at 70 degrees. 70 at St. Louis International, which is just insane. Chicago, almost near the 50s. Even up through Minneapolis, we're at freezing. If you get closer to Arkansas, like these areas, if you remember not so long ago, they were in the teens with that one Miller B storm. Now we're up in the 60s and 70s. Okay, it's pretty, and coastal 80s, which is very, very, very impressive. Even through Kentucky, we have those colder temperatures. Up here in the northeast, there's your warm front, by the way. Here's your warm front. It's warmer. It's milder up in the northeast for sure. I mean, D.C. around 40 right now. Baltimore. Boston's actually kind of hovering near freezing-ish, likely in the lower 30s. But this is your main warm front that's kind of separating the milder temperatures to the warm temperatures, honestly, to be honest. It is going to progress northeast, but it depends how far north can it get before this cold front behind drops down, okay? I don't think it'll really get too far north. It'll likely stay south of D.C., maybe. It could stay south of D.C., like right here, or I think the farthest it goes is up here, just past Baltimore. So we'll watch it, but either way, cold front on the way, so this warmth shouldn't last too long, at least at this magnitude. So we'll watch that. Alerts and indices to kind of highlight this. So these winter weather alerts all associated with that big upper level low off the coast, dynamic low, and then some dense fog advisories along the Gulf Coast, portions of New Orleans, southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, far western portions of the Florida Panhandle. Most prominent location, obviously, up here in the Northeast. Not obviously, but up here in the Northeast is what I'd say. So where you have the most prominent conditions. You have widespread winter weather advisories because of the low clipper. Cold front will bring some winter weather itself, so it's gonna be rough for me even in the areas that don't have it. I'd say these areas you gotta watch out for just so much, even Philly, DC, just for because there could be an icing concern with that cold front. We'll watch it mainly in the winter weather advisory zones though, so we'll watch that. Nothing too substantial, but it could cause some issues. So here's your RGEM, most aggressive model I'd say, but it's a good one, good model. Snow breaks out Boston later this evening, and then you see this is your cold front associated precipitation. So you see your warm air gets up, but it starts retreating back. There's your icing concern from New York City down to Philly. Could actually get warm enough for just rain for portions of DC, Baltimore metros. It does start to fall apart. It's a quick mover, okay? It comes in late this evening. It's out not even well before even dawn. And then there's your cold front, cold air that just sags south in most of the day. Most of the day tomorrow on Wednesday. And then here entrenches right here. Okay, there's 1028 millibars. And then we watch it, the retreat. You can kind of see it start pivoting. 540 line almost gets to St. Louis. We'll watch that. If it gets past, more entrenched. If not, more warmer. And then we'll see if it gets right on the edge, which is what mainly I'd say we're expecting. But definitely some entrenched cold air. 1030 high. So nothing really insane, but I mean it's colder air. I mean definitely aggressive on the RGEM. So if we're going to start here, so here's your milder push right now, colder air right there. You can clearly see it. Okay, it's definitely still a cold front, but you can see it starts warming up. This is Wednesday, for example. You get above freezing from DC, Philly, New York City, up near Boston. Then you get back below freezing, obviously through the night. Not a little freezing, but here your colder air is more entrenched. DC, or sorry, not DC, getting my cities mixed up. Boston, New York City, closer to freezing. Same with Philly, little pocket. DC, Baltimore get above. And then here it looks like it'll stay cold. I mean, this is getting through the morning. This is only 66 hours out. We can go to 12Z. And it doesn't, I don't think it actually gets, oh, it does. It's just a cold night. Philly, honestly, Philly and north and east, you stay right around, if not below freezing. But it's, and then you get a little that milder push again. So it'll be another cold blast though, just not as big. Okay, and here we can also see that retreat of that colder air. See how it comes from like St. Louis. By the end of the run, it's past Indianapolis, and there's your low right there, your storm system. Let's look at some models. Okay, more take this with a grain of salt. So here's Euro. This is 12Z. Look at what 6Z showed. Okay, here, you know what, we'll have to, let's go right there. Here it misses the south, cold air just north, okay? But even then, it'd be marginal if it did come north. If we're looking at the northern end of the precip shield, it's marginal. If we're going to look at like Philly, for example, 27. So it's cold enough, but it's right on the edge. It's honestly a thread the needle situation. But you go one run back, it's far enough in. Let's take sounding on DC. You got all snow right here, but again, marginal, 32 degrees. Okay, marginal, at least compared to these past few events. This does slide out, though. This would be a snowstorm. So it's a lot of run-to-run variability, okay? You have it jumping. That should just tell the story right there. GFS, I feel like we are convoluting on a oh my gosh, I was trying to use my vocabulary, but it does look like we're kind of getting more agreement on a solution where it just slides out, okay? And either way, honestly, I wouldn't be complaining if I was in the Mid-Atlantic, just because even if it did come more north, you'd probably have rain, okay? It'd be a very thread-the-needle event for any snowstorm if you wanted it, okay? I'm not saying it can't change, but I feel like we're getting more agreement. CMC, though, is still showing a bit of a snowstorm, but this brings it north. You get a little bit of a snow onset over to rain, and then you get that mild push right after, and then we see what happens, but that's what that shows. Okay, and then we'll take a quick look at the EPS. Wasn't planning to look at this too much, but there's your clipper. Here's your colder air blast, then your mild blast, and then we watch after, but it does look like warmer in the east, cooler in the west. Just the last thing I want to look at is polar WX, polar weather. Great site by Thunberg. Interesting pattern you see here. This is kind of where your snow line is. This is 72-hour increments though, but I just like to look at this because it kind of shows the story pretty well. Cooler in the east, big central ridge, not anything we're stranger to here in the central U.S., and then backdoor colder air keeps more Cold air damming keeps more snow locked in. Here's your signal, by the way. Snow signal edge is right here, but I'd say your most solid signal is right through here. Okay. Honestly, I'd say north and west cities. Boston's close. Overall snow threat, if you want like the most general, I'd say right through here is where your snow threat is. Okay, DC on the line. Best snow threat chances are definitely interior, and even for the interior, it looks pretty meh. Okay, it's definitely marginal. So we'll watch it. This is the NBM. We'll see how it continues to trend. But that's about it for this video. Whether or not as eventful as I'd say in the past few weeks, but we'll see if that changes at all, and I keep you guys updated to this channel. Again, make sure to subscribe to see those updates in the future. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.